freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your Friday recap for this week's Masters. Joining me to break it all down, Greg DuCharme is here. Hello, Greg. We have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. Now, Friday for a major championship, Rick, there's typically a lot of storylines, but this one's a little unique for a variety of reasons. So I'm looking forward to diving in.
Well, here is where we stand on this Friday. Round 2 has not been entirely completed. 40 or so golfers still out there on the course, some as many as 9 or 10 holes to play. We dealt with 2 different stoppages on Friday. One was very short, 21 minutes, in which there was just rain and I suppose a little bit of electricity in the area. But the big one came later in the day, and what ended up being a pretty scary scene out there, Greg, right by 17T. 3 trees came down. These are these massive, I think they're pines, right? These are just massive trees that fell right by 16 green, 17T. Somehow, and luckily, no one was injured in this. But just a few minutes later, they blow the horn and we're done for the day.
Yeah, that was an incredibly surprising scene. I can't remember ever seeing anything like that. Perhaps limbs or something have fallen, but to see an entire pine tree fall like that, into the field of play with that many patrons around, it's a miracle that nobody got hurt. And you see when you watch that video in real time, to see the speed at which they fall is pretty scary.
Yeah, the impact on the ground is jarring. So
yes.
Just an incredible scene there. So with that and the rain and the weather and everything that's rolling through, Augusta National decided to suspend for the rest of the day. So just here, I'll just read you the statement while I have it here. So it says, Augusta National Golf Club can confirm that no injuries were reported from 3 trees that were blown over to the left of number 17. Due to wind, the safety and well-being of everyone attending the Masters tournament will always be the top priority of the club, which will continue to closely monitor the weather today and through the tournament. Here's the rest. The second round has been officially suspended for the rest of the day, and play will resume Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. Okay, so what that means, Greg, is that those guys that came off the golf course on Friday evening are going right back out at 8 a.m. Eastern. Do you want me to tell you the forecast for tomorrow?
I have it right here. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Okay. So at 8 o'clock, 50 degrees, 98% chance of rain.
Right.
Wind out of the northeast at about 11 miles an hour. And this is one of those days you go through the hour by hour and it basically doesn't change for the entire day, right? You're talking about maybe if the temperature does anything, it drops to 48. If the wind does anything, it picks up to 15 miles an hour. But one thing is for sure, it's rain, and it's, somewhere above 90% chance of rain all day long.
This has been the forecast for a week. We knew this Saturday was coming. It has not changed. The other thing is, you mentioned it, but I'll point it out again. It was 85 degrees at the Masters today. It'll be maybe 45 or 50 degrees on Saturday morning. So, what you thought the golf course was playing like for the first 2 days is going to be a completely different story if they do play golf on Saturday.
The one thing that I would say surprised me about the forecast heading into the week, I expected there to be a period of time today where there was play in some bad weather. And it was really only a couple of holes where the wind started to pick up. Yeah. But for the most part, it was benign for everybody. And then all of a sudden it's storming and we have to stop play. So it really kept, for a long period of time, it kept conditions relatively similar for everybody. Now, the real disadvantage is those players like Jon Rahm, who's in second place right now, like Victor Hovland, who's in seventh place right now, or I'm sorry, who's at 6 under, just a couple shots back. This is a real disadvantage for those players near the top who have, 9 or 10 more holes to go.
Yeah, we're obviously going to talk a lot about these. We have a lot. We'll be here a while, but we're going to talk about these players. But one of the things that you and I were talking about before we started this is, okay, let's game this out a little bit, right? So let's assume they tee off tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern as anticipated, and they finish round 2 and immediately flip this around into round 3. Now, if it's quote unquote just rain, Greg, I guess they're just going to keep playing through it. We know they've got the sub-air system rocking at Augusta National. We know they've got great drainage, but like they're just going to play 27 holes in the rain tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that's the plan with the 8 a.m. start. And the Sunday forecast is really nice. So perhaps they can just play 27 holes in the rain. Most guys will only have to play 18 holes in the rain. Especially most of the guys near the top of the leaderboard seem to be done, at least a large number of them. So yes, that's a possibility. But I mean, the forecast initially was 2.5 inches of rain.
Yeah.
In a day. That's a lot for a piece of property to take on, even with all the slopes and the excellent drainage and the absolute best maintenance and the best maintained facility in the world. It's a lot of rain to take in a day. And with the scene that we had at the end of the day today, I wonder if they'll be a little more cautious with patrons with situations like that, which I hadn't even thought of at the beginning of the week.
Agreed.
So look, that's where's the line where, okay, are we going to just play 9 holes tomorrow morning and then call it quits? Do you have to see how it kind of plays out? Is there a point where we just say this is no good?
So
what's the line?
We were talking about this. I don't think this is what will happen, but I think if we just wanted to have an absolute, like the most fair thing to do in terms of keeping the competition as fair as possible, which you could argue, but I think the most fair thing to do is have these guys finish round 2 on Saturday and play 36 holes on Sunday.
The weather forecast seems like it would permit
much
that.
Better.
Right.
Sunday is basically 65 and sunny.
Right. And again, by the time you get to that second 18 holes on Sunday, you get a golf course that's drying out a little bit. I mean, that could be some real fun. I don't know if that's how it's going to work.
I am almost certain that is not how it's going to work.
Yeah, I do think they're going to play as much as they can tomorrow.
Me too.
And the only way that it stops down, in my opinion, electricity obviously would be one. That's not in the forecast. But the only way it stops down is if you start getting puddling on the greens, if it's just too much rain, which I suppose could happen later in the day. So perhaps, I mean, there's a possibility of that happening.
And the thing with this is it only takes puddling on one green, right?
Right.
Once you get puddling on one green, you got to stop playing.
And it doesn't even matter where the hole location is.
Correct.
So they typically will. Augusta National does a great job of this when they're expecting rain, when the greens are extra receptive, they put hole locations in really high areas. And that's a way to help preserve the green. Those areas dry out the quickest and they remain the firmest so that you get less damage around the hole from players walking, things like that. But if you get a puddle in a low area on a green, and somebody has to putt through it, for instance, it becomes unfair. So that's when you'd have to stop down. Now, is that a stop down for the rest of the day? Is that a quick squeegee and we're off and running? That's kind of difficult to predict.
very difficult to predict. We were entering a little bit of uncharted territories. Okay, let's talk about the action up to this point. And there is a guy at the top of the leaderboard who is laughing and laughing and laughing. He's back at his house somewhere in Augusta, Georgia, saying, wow, I went 65, 67, and you guys are playing in this muck and the mess and everything else that comes with it. And of course, I'm talking about Brooks Koepka, who followed up his Thursday 65 with Greg, an absolutely clinical bogey-free 67 where Brooks looked like Brooks.
Yes. Now, couple things here. One, my favorite aspect of the Masters is having the ability to go back and watch the tapes.
Oh my God. Right? I encourage go back and watch every shot that Brooks Koepka has hit in the last 2 days. It's the blueprint of how to play this golf course.
Yes. So the reason I say that, I watched his tape from Thursday, every single shot that he hit, and he only hit one chip shot the whole day on number 5, and it was a little too hard, but it hit the hole, so he ended up making par there. But heading into today's round, I was worried if we were going to get a little wind, maybe towards the tail end of his round, if he lost it with the golf swing for a moment or for a stretch during this round, would his short game shine through? Because Thursday's round, it looked like Brooks in 2019 at Bethpage Black. Sure, he shot 7 under, which was the same score, but it was the dominance with the iron play. Every single hole, he had a great look for birdie. And then so that's the thing I was watching for. The litmus test for me was what happens if Brooks misses a few greens, ends up having to scramble. Where is his game? We haven't seen that. We don't know. Well, at number 1 today, he gets up and down from short right of 1, which is an unbelievable slope if you've never seen it, with that whole location up on the back right. Gets that up and down. At 2, he gets up and down from the right bunker, where he has to go all the way across that green to the back left hole location. Gets that up and down. At 3, chips it over the green after his tee shot, gets it up and down from behind the green, making like a 10-footer. And then at 4, he gets up and down from the front edge of the green on the front fringe there. So it was 4 1-putts in those first 4 holes. And I said, okay, this is the real deal. This is now I've seen the completeness of this game.
You know what I love seeing on Friday? So if we had, so we have a scorecard up on YouTube, but he made 3 birdies and an eagle. They were all on the par 5s, and he made 14 pars on the other holes. He destroyed the 5s, played every other hole at even par. That for a long time was the Tiger recipe. Greg.
Yes.
Destroy the 5s, survive the rest, and pile up trophies.
68 is a pretty good score around here.
Yeah.
And you think about, and I'm not saying that there's an irony to this. I'm not saying this to poke any fun, but this is where Bryson's line of it's a par 67 comes from, because the concept is, well, you take advantage of the par 5s. I can reach them all. So I'm going to hit iron into all of them. So those are like long par 4s. I make 4s there, and I can drive number 3. So I make 3 there. I got 67. But what you find out is, well, the other 14 holes are no joke. And it's not always easy to just make all birdies and eagles on the par 5s. But you're right, Rick. That's the recipe. This is how you play the golf course in theory. And it's really cool to see it when it comes to life.
Obviously, the big thing here for Brooks, seemingly the difference between this year and previous years at the Masters, is health. He seems healthy for the first time in a while. He actually made a comment yesterday, something to the effect of, if I had been this healthy and playing this well, it would have made my decision to go to live a lot more difficult. And we're getting a healthy Brooks Koepka, 4-time major champion, who is still a problem for the rest of the field.
Yes. And the live aspect of this is, perhaps a little bit awkward, but just to keep it to the game of golf here, if regardless of what tour Brooks is on, we would be looking at a very similar situation. right? Consider what we saw in full swing. This is a guy that's injured, a guy that's out of form, a guy that's struggling with his game, who's all of a sudden healthy. And if he was playing limited reps because of injury and all of a sudden started to feel healthy, this is what you'd get. So in a way, the limited reps that he's had may have helped him rehab, may have helped him actually get healthy with less temptation to try to play. I mean, the PGA Tour players haven't had an off season in a long time, and now there's a real off season for him. And the players on the PGA Tour, the top players on the PGA Tour, will have an off season too. It just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, you got to think that those 5 months essentially of the offseason from last season to this season certainly went a long way for Brooks, who won Live Golf Orlando last week and now obviously the front runner here through 2 rounds at the Masters. He's at 12 under, Greg. The next guy in the clubhouse is at 8 under. We'll talk about him in a second, but Jon Rahm is 3 shots back and still out on the golf course. So he has finished hole 9. And he has hit, he has hit 2 shots on 10. So he's hit his approach shot into 10, and he has, I'm literally watching it as we go through.
It's like he's got 40 feet. He's in the back center of the green.
That's exactly right. Back center of the green for Jon Rahm for birdie. And, the horn blows just as he starts getting going here. Birdie's on 8 and 9. He parred each of his first 7. Obviously, we remember the big mistake out of the gate on Thursday with the double bogey, the four jacks there. But otherwise, he has been splendid this week.
I said that Brooks on Thursday hit 1 chip shot. Well, Jon Rahm didn't hit any on Thursday. It was 0. He missed 1 green, and it was by an inch on 7, and he made the putt.
I think he hit every fairway and missed 1 green by 1 inch.
Yes, he did. So it was ridiculous. Now he comes out today and he misses the green at number 1 in a spot you should not miss the green at number 1. He misses long right. That's typically that spot is dead. Nobody gets up and down from there. Now it's a little bit softer, so that has helped player. I've noticed this week players in general have gotten up and down from some spots that are typically big no zones. But he played still a brilliant shot to get up and down there at 1. And he did the same thing at number 6, which ends up coming up short, which is a big no. He gave a big expletive after that and got that one up and down.
I heard that one, baby. Yeah, the mics caught that one.
Oh yeah, which was unintentional. And this round really turned around with some good breaks off of 8 and 9. He missed both those tee shots out to the right and ends up making birdie on both those holes. So those 2 birdies, I think, they're really big now, especially because knowing what he's going to have to play through tomorrow. And you could even see it at 10. I mean, you just watched it, Rick. The shot that he hit on 10 into that green was stopping for most players through the day. And because of that little extra bit of moisture on the greens there, it didn't check at all for him. It just released, which is, we'll see what happens heading into tomorrow, but that's part of playing golf in the rain. So he'll have basically 2 putts, hopefully, and 8 holes. And if he can play those in even par, I think he's within reach of Jon Rahm being 3 back.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
of Koepka. Sorry,
if Koepka just shoots another 65 and 67, he's going to run away with this. I have a feeling this will tighten at some point. Like if Brooks Koepka makes no mistakes, he deserves to win and nobody's going to catch him. But I do imagine that at some point this thing will get a little bit closer, and Rahm is there to be the biggest beneficiary. A guy who will not receive a check this week, no matter how he finishes, Greg, is putting on a show. Sam Bennett, the amateur, who is our reigning U.S. amateur champion, and this is not a typo. He is currently in solo 3rd with back-to-back 68s, and he is absolutely vibing around this place right now. He made 5 birdies on Friday, only 1 blemish on the card. It came on number 4, the par 3. This kid's pretty impressive right now.
Yeah, legit. And again, that bogey is his only bogey of the week so far. And many a legend has walked through number 4 with a 4 on the card. It's really not a bad score on that hole. So Sam Bennett, I think, has played the way that he has played is typically not what you see out of rookies, Masters rookies, or debutantes, if you will. He has kept the ball under the hole. He said that in a number of press conferences. And when you go back and watch the tapes, this has been stress-free golf. It's not like Koepka where it seems like every shot's coming down right on the flag, but every shot's coming down in the proper place. He's made it look really easy in a way. The other thing that has really stood out to me is his pace on the greens. He's had a couple of longer putts that he's left short. And when I say short, I mean inches short. But for the most part, every putt he's hit has had a real chance. It's had a nice, aggressive holing speed without being reckless. So, yeah, pretty sweet watching him play this place.
Yeah, he talked a lot about keeping the ball below the hole. He also talked about just like not making bogeys. He's like, my main objective every time I tee it up, I don't care where it is to not make any bogeys. And he's done a pretty good job of that thus far. He made 1 on Friday and 0 on Thursday. So Sam Bennett has got himself in a great position to be in Butler Cabin. Maybe he'll be the only guy in Butler Cabin on Sunday night.
Oh, it's hard to imagine that with all these other big guns around. But look, he's 4 off the lead.
Would
he's
that
played
be
as well as anybody?
Okay, let's play this game. Sam Bennett wins the Masters. Where would that rank in terms of like all-time great sporting moments?
Oh man. I mean,
better or worse than Miracle on Ice?
Ooh. Well, that one is really hits home for me because it's probably my favorite sporting moment of all time. You had a political element in that as well. Also, amateurs versus pros. So I would probably say, but I don't know. In today's day and age, this would be crazy. The professional golf is so good right now. It's so good. I would be stunned. Rick, I don't even know where I could honestly rank it. I would just be guessing.
An
amateur, it would be up there.
An amateur has never won the Masters. I love the connection to the greatest amateur of all time, right? Bobby Jones,
yes.
Right. And if he were to, I mean, I know there's not many soft leaderboards you get at major championships, but this is like as deep as it gets when it's Koepka, Rahm, Morikawa, Hovland, Day, Burns, Spieth, Young, Woodland, Mickelson, like rattle them off, baby. He beat all those guys. It would be, I don't know where it would rank either. I'd have to see like a list of like the great, but it would
better than we met at the country club.
I don't know. I mean, I guess probably because
I think so.
Because he was a young athletic kid. I mean, like, listen, that era, obviously there were great golfers in that era, but it was not nearly the depth that there is right now.
No.
And as much as I bought into all the Francis Ouimet stuff when we were at the country. Like I was all in on that, but like this would be better.
it would be just because of the time period. Yeah. And it's also the Masters.
It's also the Masters. That's right.
Right.
All right. We're going to continue this conversation. We got a lot more to chat about, but first we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. Okay. Let's go down and talk about, I don't want to say, okay, I'll say disappointments. We'll start with Rory McIlroy. Rory will not be around for the weekend. Doesn't matter what happens. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I don't even know if there's a mathematical possibility. He would need a miracle and then another miracle to get his five overs in. It's not going to happen. It was a 77 on Friday. I was going through the shots, Greg. I don't know what went wrong for Rory. I just like nothing went right. It was truly bizarre.
I went through the shots too in both of his rounds. it was pretty clear in round one he had a left miss going on, and he was coming up short with short game shots and some putts, and those are signs of nerves to me. So when Rory McIlroy, a drawer of the golf ball, gets nervous, a little tight with the swing, the tendency will be to miss it to the left. When Rory's really freed up and feeling aggressive, the tendency will be to leave it out to the right. So you saw the left miss yesterday. Today you saw some left misses, some right misses. You saw some shots, some wedge shots go long. You saw some go short. You saw some bad breaks. You saw some great shots. I think he looks like he's swinging really well, but he just could not get the ball in the right spot. I'm trying so desperately to figure it out, to pinpoint something. Is there a flaw somewhere in his game that is holding him back? And I mean, I can't say that there is. Maybe the one thing I would say when you watch his shots and you watch guys near the top of the leaderboard, the guys near the top of the leaderboard are playing from the fairway more often than him. They're in the middle of the fairway all day. Rory's in the pine straw too much, but that's not every round. So I can't put my finger on it, Rick. It's like there are really ghosts here. It's amazing to watch the shots of a Koepka or a Rahm, or even somebody like Hovland, who's had a little more volatility, hasn't played as perfect as Koepka. You watch these guys near the top and you watch Rory, and it's surprising.
I don't get it. I think the easy way out is to say that it's the mentals and just something is not working for him here, knowing his place in history and all that stuff. That's the easy thing, but I don't have anything else. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
It's, and I go back and think about this too. Like you watch Tiger right now play this golf course, and Tiger's played really poorly, even for his own standards, and he's beating Rory by 3. And if Tiger continued to play today's round, my guess would be he would shoot 1 over for the first 2 rounds. I think Tiger was going to finish that round today 1 under. So by the end of the 2 rounds, he's beaten up on Rory pretty good. Why is a hobbled Tiger who can barely move around why does he play this golf course better than Rory, who's 30 years old and great, 34 years old and great physical condition, swinging as fluidly as anybody, able to hit all of the shots? What's the difference? What does Rory not know? I can't figure it out.
I feel for Rory. I know this is probably eating him up. I imagine he's going to lose some sleep for the next couple of nights, man. He's just such a good golf historian and gets his spot in the game. And this is just, to not even be around for the weekend is tough.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Scottie Scheffler shot his worst round ever at the Masters. Now, in his defense, this was only his 14th round, so it's not like his 100th round, but it was statistically his worst. It was a 75. Started with a bogey on 1. He got it back at 8. He made a double on 9 thanks to 4 putts from 27 feet, and then he bogeyed 18 to low light the card to 75. I've got a lot of thoughts about this Scheffler stuff. So he's 1 under par. He's, believe it or not, Scottie Scheffler has played horrible golf for 2 rounds and he's 1 under and he's 11 shots off the lead. Statistically, he is leading the field in strokes gained tee to green. Not everybody's through 2 rounds. And he is dead last, not even close with the putter. And It was not just the 4 jacks on whatever that was.
9.
9.
Oh, yeah, 9.
Was it 9? I mean, he did not sniff making a putt through the first 2 rounds?
No, nothing. I mean, nothing.
We're not even like literally nothing. I'm not even exaggerating. Literally nothing.
No, I mean, eight was a tap in, right? His second shot comes up short of the green. He pitches it up there he almost chipped it in. I feel better about him hitting a pitch shot than I do hitting a putt. Only problem is he doesn't miss any greens.
Start missing some greens, Scottie.
He's going to miss some greens if he wants to make birdies. It's insane. He gave himself a lot of opportunities, more so yesterday than today. But you could
yesterday was an amazing round, and he only shot for it. Yeah,
it was very comparable to Koepka's round, very comparable to Rahm's round. But he didn't make anything. And I was thinking about his round yesterday, and I'm sure that you were too. I mean, this is our model again. Like this is the model. The way this goes is on Friday, he hits it really well again, and a couple of putts start to fall.
Yep.
And all of a sudden he's leading or near the lead. It wouldn't have been a crazy thing for him to be sitting at 8 or 9 under right now. That wouldn't be out of the ordinary for Scottie Scheffler. But the frustration was building, and I was reminded of Southern Hills. That's the only other time I've seen Scottie kind of behave this way.
I was going to say I've never seen him this frustrated. He is very animated. He hit it, and there was a shot early in the round. When you're as frustrated as he was early in the round, I think you're coming into the day thinking about this stuff. It was the shot that he hit onto 4, the par 3. He hit a shot that, it's, 240 yards today or whatever.
Yeah,
and it just catches the, maybe it wasn't 4 then. Maybe it was 6 that I'm thinking about.
Oh, 6. It was 6.
6.
Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw this live.
Yes, it was 6.
I can't hit a better shot than that.
I can't hit a better shot than that. Right. He's staring it down. He hits it. I mean, it's they've got the whole location kind of on that little hill there, that little crest. And it is, 6 inches from being perfect. It hits the left side of that and rolls, 40 feet away. And you're just I've never heard Scottie say that. Right.
It was it's in the air. And when it gets to its peak, he's watching it and he's expecting it to fall to the right. And then it doesn't, and he says, "It's out of the right."
Yes,
like
yes, he is. Yes, he's complaining about the wind while it's at its apex.
Yes. That was, I would say he was quite frustrated at Southern Hills, and again, these are the 2 tournaments that stick out because Southern Hills is his favorite golf course. He had just won the Masters. I know he's going into that with really high expectations. And he comes back to the Masters with an opportunity now playing even better than last year. And I'm wondering if he's just put too much into these 2 events. And that's why you're seeing the frustration when it's not going his way.
Well, it is interesting because he generally flies completely under the radar compared to previous number one players in the world, compared to other betting favorites, compared to whatever. But you're right. There was a lot of expectation at Southern Hills, and obviously being the defending champion, having the champions dinner, he obviously feels like there is more weight on his shoulders in these weeks than other weeks. And you very clearly see it. I mean, it was interesting to see. I don't remember as much from Southern Hills about the frustration, but I was watching him all day long today going, oh my gosh, Scottie, I kind of like it, but that's a different story.
Well, you know why I was watching him so closely? These 2 events have one thing in common. I played him in one and done both times.
The truth.
So I remember,
set
and
you free.
It burns me deep.
Yeah, that's funny. I don't mind it. It's just kind of out of character for him, which is certainly worth noting.
And I do think he'll recover, because he did last year.
Yeah. All right, let's zoom out a little bit. Hit a couple of notables, hit a couple storylines, and we'll figure out if we have an odds board. Josh, let me know in the chat if we have an odds board. The Big Cat, we've kind of been referencing him a little bit here, Greg, and he is currently through 11 holes. He'll tee it up on number 12. That's a heck of a shot early in the morning in the rain, just to go straight to 12 and hit that shot.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Nice. I wonder if it'll be. I mean, there's no advantage. There's no advantage to that. This is a tough situation for Tiger. The difficulty is beyond the shot at 12, beyond the fact that he's on the cut. Is he on the cut line?
He is technically, yeah. So he's 2 over par for the event. He is T50 right now. The likely cut is +2, so he's on it right now and could go to 3. It'll really the conditions will really determine the cut line tomorrow.
Yeah. So, but if he makes the cut, it's a bad scenario. It's going to be 50 degrees and pouring rain. That is not good for Tiger Woods. It's not good. There's no time to play into the round, and should he make the cut, you're talking about what is he going to play 27 tomorrow or 27 Sunday? Or there's going to be in one of these next 2 days, he's got to get an extra 9 in.
I think he should withdraw right now.
You know, I'm typically not in that camp, but I think we've learned something about Tiger, Rick, that supports that case. Kyle's talked about how it's not a linear recovery progression. And after Genesis and hearing some of Joey LaCava's comments, the best example I can come up with for this is like marathon runners don't run marathons in the weeks leading up to their marathon, right? You prepare much less than the actual competition, because the actual competition is so damaging to your body that it's not actually making you stronger. It hurts you. It takes you back a couple of steps when you're done with it. And then you got to build back up again. And that's what playing a 4-round tournament is like for Tiger. It takes him back steps significantly. And then he's got to build his way back into it. So I don't think he will withdraw. I think he'll play at least the remaining holes of round 2 tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then if he makes a cut, he may have a decision to make.
No, I don't think he will withdraw either. But like, does Tiger care about finishing T42 at the Masters? Like, I generally think not. Right?
No, but I do think making the cut and preserving the streak is very cool and valuable. And it would be amazing. By the way,
I agree. I just worry about playing 27 holes in the freezing rain tomorrow.
Yeah. But maybe he only plays 8 holes or whatever, 12
so
7 holes.
Play 7, make the cut, keep your streak alive, and then go home.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. Listen, I don't think it's the worst idea. Like long term, let's think long term here. I don't think it's the worst idea.
No, it's gonna. He's done a lot of damage already, right? And if 83 is the real objective, and I don't know that it is. I know it's nice to say that, but is Tiger really thinking that's a possibility? Is he really working towards that? If he is playing in that stuff tomorrow, that for 27 holes essentially is not the best idea, in my opinion.
All right, let me open up this conversation. I mean, it's an absolutely stacked leaderboard. It's phenomenal stuff. Colin Morikawa is 6 shots off the lead. He's at 6 under. He's only 3 shots out of second place right now. Jason Day made a mess coming in, but he's 5 under with Sam Burns and Jordan Spieth and Cam Young. I mean, it's absolutely stacked. Couple of notables here. Couple of T10. I see Joaquin Niemann lurking. He's been pretty reliant on the putter. I see Phil Mickelson carding 2 under par rounds, 71-69. He made a double on 6, but offset that with 5 birdies on Friday. This is by far the best golf Phil Mickelson has played anywhere in the world in at least a year. This
is what Augusta National can do, right? It brings your it brings something to light for some players. And there's so much shape to these fairways. There's so much creativity that's demanded, and it brings out the best in Phil. Now he's able to hit it out of off the fairway and recover, like we saw at number 2 yesterday. That was kind of a crazy scene. So look, Phil's the kind of player that I wouldn't be surprised if he did things like Fred Couples was doing, right? Really late into his career, showing up on leaderboards here. It's no surprise. It's a golf course that brings out the best in Phil. It's like he was made for it. And I watch Phil and the state of his game coming in and his performance here. And I watch Rory, the state of his game coming in and his performance here. And I'm just befuddled. And I just want to know what Phil knows that Rory doesn't. What does Fred Couples know that Rory doesn't about this golf course? It's something special. It's something special.
Befuddled is a very good word. That's the word of the day. What is the best shot that you have seen so far this week? I will nominate Cam Smith out of the fairway bunker at 8. From 264 yards to 8 feet, and then he rolls it in for eagle to get back to even par for the championship. That's it. Also was just like it just happened before the break, so I remember it. But that's got to be near the top of the list.
It is. And I thought about that when I saw the shot too. Is that the shot of the week so far? Definitely one of them. I would say Victor Hovland shot at 10 yesterday.
Oh, from green side?
Yeah. Yeah, that had to be one.
That was good. Actually, and then I think it was the group right after that, JT was in that bunker. And somehow, like, he couldn't, if he was a millimeter short of where he landed that shot out of the bunker, it would have been disaster. I mean, I can't believe the risk that he took on and pulled it off.
It's amazing. But again, I go back to I think right now the conditions are they've been just soft enough to where you can get in some of those spots and kind of get away with it. Where when it's firm and fast, you can land it in the same spot, but it's gone. So anyway, I would put Victor's shot in there too. I'm sure there are some other ones. I've watched so many shots this week. I've seen so many sweet shots.
Yeah.
But those are the two that stand out as being really special.
So, I mean, just bigger picture here. I think we're going to get, I think Saturday is going to be pretty chaotic, Greg, with so many holes and potentially really difficult conditions. And if Brooks Koepka wants to come back to the field at all, or maybe he'll just run away with it. I don't know. But I think there's still a lot of guys in it. We didn't even talk about Patrick Reed, who's in the midst of a good round. We haven't talked about Hideki Matsuyama, who's 2 under through 3 and kind of lurking a little bit. I mean, is there anybody else that you think is worth kind of mentioning here before we look at the odds board?
Well, I mean, Jordan stands out like a sore thumb, right?
Yeah.
Sitting at 5 under par.
And he's done.
So he's a really interesting case. And again, I don't, let's just look at the second place score. I'm not going to call it the real lead because Koepka is very
4 major championships. I don't think you're allowed to do that.
No, he's very worthy of that conversation, but we know how professional golf goes. And so if Koepka does decide to come back to the field, the guys at 5 under are 3 back of an amateur. And Jon Rahm is at 9, I know, but it still has 9 holes to go in brutal conditions.
Yeah.
So I'm using 8 as a number. Everybody at 5 under, I mean, you're 3 back at that point, and very much in the mix because there's not that many players in front of you. You got Rahm at 9, Bennett at 8, Morikawa at 6, and Hovland at 6. So you got 5 guys in front of you. If you're if you're at 5 under. And yeah, Jordan catches my attention because he has a knack for playing really good rounds on Sunday, especially when he seems like he's out of it. And he should be, at the very least, he should be 7 under in this event.
He's left 3 shots out there via unlucky / like bad play, and he's left 3 out there from just like stupid decisions.
Yeah. I mean, and then there's just been, I want, this is the thing. I made this in my notes. I just want to pay attention to this with Jordan. He's had this tendency of leaving putts short this week. And as I was watching his rounds the last 2 days, I noticed some better speed for the most part. I also noticed, and we talked about this when Patrick pointed out his posture and how different it looks, which it is very different. But when we were talking about that, I had noticed his forward press kind of shrink. And it looks like this week it's back. But every once in a while, he shorts that forward press. It's like he doesn't fully commit to it. It doesn't go all the way forward, and he leaves the putt short. That's when you see those timid putts. Like today at number 11 and at number 16, he hit these great iron shots in there. Yeah. And hits these timid putts. The forward press is reduced on both of those. So yeah. I'll be watching that.
The putt, I just watched the putt he hit at 11, which is like a 12-footer, which is so weak. And he left it in the perfect spot.
Right. You can't draw it up any better. And watch 16. It's weak.
All right, I'll watch 16. I love oh my God, this is even shorter. This is like 8 feet.
Yeah, he stuffed it in there.
Oh my God. He was up and out of it in his backswing.
Yes. But he doesn't forward press as much, and then he leaves it short, and it looks so timid, and he backs out of it. It's like there's something that gets off in the routine, and that is a sign to me that he's not fully committed. But it's also a sign that it's going to come up short, what you're about to see. So if you get that face on view, notice that forward press. When it's aggressive and it goes forward, he gets it to the hole. He hits some really good putts.
There you go. Keep an eye out on that for tomorrow. Quickly, Josh, do we have the odds board? Yeah, here we go. Okay, Brooks Koepka nearing even money to win the 2023 Masters, plus 118 currently, 3 shots clear. Jon Rahm, plus 175, and 2-horse race, because the next shortest odds are Victor Hovland, 6 back, currently out on the golf course. He's still got 8 holes to play at 18-1, Cam Young at 20, Colin at 20, Jordan Spieth at 25, Sam Bennett 30-1. It's not bad. Jay Day 35, and then nobody else within 50. So books are looking at the big boppers at the top.
This is, and I get it. This is really tough to come up with a long shot here, because you're basically, it's really thinned out in my opinion, because I can't put anything on Jon Rahm right now.
No.
Right? How and regardless of the number, how can you put something on Cam Young, who's got 9 holes? And I love Cam Young, but you look at what he has ahead of him tomorrow for that 9 holes. I mean, I don't see how you can take that chance.
I think those guys are going to get smashed tomorrow morning.
I do too. And you know, another thing to consider, Rick, it's going to rain all night, and they did not play preferred lies today. So You're talking mud balls all over the place.
Mud ball.
And you're talking, receptive golf courses are easier, but there's a big difference playing when it's raining and playing after it rains. This is going to be a challenge. So the only guys at that point that you can really look at would be Koepka. You're not putting anything on him at that number. Nope. Bennett.
Nope.
Are you going to go with an amateur right now? No. Morikawa.
Nope.
Day. Now you start getting to Day, Burns, and Spieth. Those guys it feels like they're a little too far back.
I don't mind. I think Colin's gonna have a good week. I don't mind that. I think if you I don't want to bet any of these. I think if you had to bet one, I would bet Spieth at 25-1, because he might just snap off and get on one of those Spieth runs. I think he's left a couple of strokes out there, more than a couple of strokes out there, similar to some of the guys at the top. if any of those guys not named Jon Rahm are going to win, it's because Brooks is going to have to come back to the field. If Brooks comes back to the field, I think a lot of guys are beneficiaries, and I think that Spieth is one of them.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. And I don't mind Morikawa. He had some he had some really nice short game shots today. I mean, that 69 was not the ball striker's, typical Colin Morikawa 69. He kind of scrambled today. And I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad. I'm not saying that he hit it poorly. But it didn't look like here comes a Morikawa run. He's really getting hot, dialed in with the iron play. I think he kind of scrapped out a really good round. So maybe that's a good sign. I don't know, but this feels like tomorrow feels like a day for matchups, not any of this.
There you go. Now we're cooking. Well, get your rain boots ready. It's probably going to be a sloppy one. Hunker down. You might be going in and out of, breaks, and hey, we're going to, take them, blow the horn. Okay, we're coming back. So get ready for all that fun stuff. And when the day finally comes to an end, which we have no idea when it'll be or how much golf will be played, what'll happen? We'll be here to warm their hearts and dry their little hands off.
Yes, we will be here. You can count on that. Whether it's I'm not going to speak for you on time. I was going to say whether it's at 8:00 in the morning or at 8:00 at night, we'll be here. We'll be ready.
We'll be here for you. That's our new motto at the First Cut podcast. We'll leave the pod. We'll leave the mics on for you. All right. Big thanks, producer Josh does all the hard work behind the scenes. Greg DuCharme rocking with me tonight can be found on Twitter at The Real GFD, and you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.